1988, Jeff Brabham just won his 8th consecutive race, 8 straight victories in IMSA's premier class, against Porsche 962s, against Jaguar XJR 9s, against the best sports car racers on the planet. He did it in a Nissan with a turbocharged V6 that made 800 horsepower from 3 liters. 2 years later, that exact twin-turbo technology was sitting in showrooms across America for $35,000, making 300 horsepower in a car you could daily drive. This is how Nissan turned a race program into the most advanced street turbo system of the 1990s, and why it changed performance cars forever. The problem: 1984. Nissan has just killed the Datsun name in America. Bad move. Nobody knows who Nissan is. Sales are struggling. The 300ZX is competing against the Corvette, the Porsche 944, the RX-7, and losing. Brand awareness, 0. Marketing comes up with a plan. Enter IMSA GTP, the premier American sports car series. Go wheel-to-wheel with Porsche's factory-backed 962 program. Win races. Get noticed. Engineering thinks they're insane, but Nissan doesn't build their own race team. They call Electromotive Engineering, a small operation in Harbor City, California, run by Don Devendorf. Devendorf was a former Hughes aircraft engineer who'd been campaigning modified Datsun 280ZXs in IMSA. His cars were fast, his team was scrappy, and he had a reputation for outthinking the competition with electronics. The deal? Nissan provides engines. Electromotive builds the cars. The engine? The VG30 a 3-liter single-turbo V6 pulled straight from the 300ZX street car. In showroom trim, it made 200 horsepower. Devendorf wasn't worried about the power, he was thinking about control. The breakthrough. 1985. The first Electromotive Nissan GTP car hits the track. March 85 G chassis, VG30 engine, and something nobody else had: a fully programmable engine management system. While other teams were using distributors and mechanical fuel injection, Devendorf's team built an ECU that controlled spark timing, fuel delivery, and turbo boost from one unit. It used EEPROM chips, erasable, programmable, read-only memory, that could be swapped between practice sessions to completely reprogram the engine. You could change the car's entire personality in the paddock. This was 1985. Most factory race teams were just starting to experiment with electronic fuel injection. The early results? Brutal. The car was fast but fragile. It crashed. It broke. The chassis wasn't right. The aero wasn't working. Porsche dominated. But Devendorf kept developing, kept refining the electronics, kept learning. By 1987, they switched to Lola chassis. Better aero, better handling, and the engine management system was now truly sophisticated. Then came 1988. Dominance. The breakthrough was the turbo system. Electromotive's VG30 race engine used parallel twin turbos, both working together all the time. Combined with their electronic boost control, throttle response was instantaneous. The system could modulate boost pressure on the fly, adjust fuel maps in real time, optimize power delivery for every corner, every straight, every condition. In race trim, the engine was making around 800 horsepower in qualifying, about 750 in race configuration, from 3 liters. Other teams were running naturally aspirated V8s and V12s making similar power, but they weighed more, they were less efficient, and they didn't have the electronics. 1988 season. Jeff Brabham behind the wheel. Road Atlanta, win. Lime Rock, win. Mid-Ohio, win. Watkins Glen, win. Road America, win. Sears Point, win. Del Mar, win. 7 consecutive victories. Then he won 1 more at Portland. 8 straight wins, an IMSA record. Brabham took the Drivers' Championship. Nissan narrowly missed the manufacturer's title because they started the season late. The team wasn't ready for Daytona and Sebring, the big early endurance races. Porsche and Jaguar teams were furious. How was a turbocharged V6 beating their naturally aspirated monsters? The technology seemed unfair. 1989. Even more dominant. 10 victories, Brabham's second consecutive driver's crown. Nissan finally took the manufacturer's championship, ending Porsche's 6-year stranglehold on IMSA. The bright blue car with number 83 became a legend, a Porsche killer. But inside Nissan's engineering headquarters in Atsugi, Japan, something interesting was happening. The transfer. The engineers studying the IMSA program saw something critical. The twin-turbo system worked brilliantly, and they were already developing a completely new engine for the next generation 300ZX, a ground-up redesign called the VG30 VTT. Here's where Nissan did something genuinely brilliant. They took the lessons from racing and applied them directly to the street car. Parallel twin turbos, just like the race car, but smaller. Garrett T25 units designed for quick spool and street-friendly response. Dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder. Variable valve timing on the intake side using Nissan's NVTCS system. 2 throttle bodies, 1 for each bank of cylinders, a complex upper plenum designed to balance airflow. Twin intercoolers, air-to-air, mounted in the front bumper, and sophisticated electronic control to manage it all. When the VDET debuted in 1990 in the 300ZX twin-turbo, it made 300 horsepower and 283 foot-pounds of torque, from the same 3-liter displacement as the race engine. Compare that to the competition 1990 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1, 5.7 liters, 375 horsepower, $58,995. 1990 Porsche 911 Carrera 2, 3.6 liters, 247 horsepower, $58,000. 1990 Ford Mustang GT, 5 liters, 225 horsepower, $15,000. The 300ZX twin-turbo started at $33,000. Fully loaded, you could hit $40,000. It ran 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat. Top speed was electronically limited to 155 miles per hour, and it was reliable. You could drive it every day. The Super Bowl. Nissan wanted to make a statement. They hired Ridley Scott, the director of Alien and Blade Runner. They gave him a Super Bowl budget and told him to make something unforgettable. Super Bowl 24, January 28, 1990. The commercial aired once. It showed a man in a 300ZX twin-turbo being chased in a high-speed fantasy sequence. First by a menacing motorcyclist, then by a race car, then by a fighter jet. It was styled like a dream, a visual spectacle, pure cinema. Within days, highway safety groups, insurance companies, and advocacy organizations flooded Nissan with complaints. The ad glorified dangerous driving. It showed speeding without disclaimers. It could inspire reckless behavior. Nissan pulled it. The commercial never aired on US television again. But the damage, or the marketing, depending on how you look at it, was done. Everyone wanted to know, what was this car? The legacy. The twin-turbo 300ZX sold 89,156 units in the United States between 1990 and 1996. Peak year was 1990, the launch year, with over 39,000 sold. But more importantly, the engine became legendary in the tuning world. Stock internals could reliably handle 400 to 500 horsepower with just bolt-ons and a tune. Upgrade the turbos, fuel system, and internals? People were hitting 700, 800, even 1,000 plus horsepower. The engine was overbuilt, it was tough, and it responded to modification like nothing else in its class. But the real legacy wasn't just the Zeed. Nissan proved that racing technology could transfer directly to the street, that a sophisticated twin-turbo system wasn't just for exotics, that you could build a 300 horsepower daily driver from a 3-liter engine and have it be reliable, refined, and accessible. Other manufacturers took notice. The Toyota Supra, twin-turbo inline-6, 320 horsepower. The Mitsubishi 3000 GT, twin-turbo V6, 300 horsepower, all-wheel drive. The Mazda RX-7, twin-turbo rotary, 255 horsepower. The entire Japanese performance car landscape of the 1990s was shaped by what Nissan did with the twin-turbo Z, and it all traced back to racing, to to Don Davendorf, to electronic boost control and parallel twin turbos and reprogrammable chips in the paddock. The electromotive Nissan race program won 3 consecutive manufacturers' championships, 1989, 1990, 1991. The later chassis developments continued the program's dominance into the early 90s before rule changes and manufacturer politics shifted the landscape. But the technology, it never went away. Modern twin-turbo V6s, Ford's EcoBoost, BMW's turbocharged straight sixes, Nissan's own GTR engine, all owe a debt to this era. The idea that you can extract massive, reliable power from smaller engines with forced induction is now mainstream. It started on the track, with a blue race car in a V6 that shouldn't have been able to beat Porsche. And then Nissan did something brilliant. They gave that technology to us. The 199300 ZX twin turbo wasn't just a sports car, it was a race car with a license plate.